And one of the 4 value track sessions here at the European Roundtable is Smart Cities, Space Wisdom for Smart Cities. And we have some speakers from that session also in front of our cameras. And we start off with Martijn Seiger. Welcome, Martijn.
Thank you.
Board member of DotSpace.
Yeah.
Could you explain to our viewers what DotSpace is and what it does?
The DotSpace Foundation focuses on how to use space data set, especially Earth observation data. So we do not build stuff ourselves, but we try to bridge the gap between supply on the one side and demand on the other side. So, for example, how can public bodies use space data sets for the services which they need, and how can we involve service companies to enter the buyers of the future of space data services.
And what must I envision if I think about space data? Is that really from a satellite, everything that you...
It's really from satellites. So it's you can present it 2 ways, like complicated data sets from space, but it's another data source which originates from the space domain, in which we invest as Europe, as a country, quite a lot of money. And we help to promote how to use these data sets as said, and also how we benefit from these data sets to address societal challenges which make our life more easy or comfortable, or how do we address, for example, we all need food on the world. If we consume in this manner, we need 3 worlds at least, which we don't have. So how do we use all the assets which are there? And space can benefit in this.
And as I hear you speak about an example like food, there's a lot of different stakeholders and a lot of different countries, I think.
Yeah, well, the space domain or the application side of space, it's not a national market, it's a global market. Europe, of course, invests a lot in space data satellite systems, but they have a global coverage. So it's services can be deployed all over the world. It's satellite communication, navigation, and Earth observation. And also, if we develop hardware for space, then all this knowledge can be used also for downstream applications, as we call it, and that's the technology transfer program. So the hardware component is also very interesting and relevant.
And then the data, because we had a session about personalized medicine, and we had a discussion about data ownership. Well, with personalized medicine, it was very clear that the data belongs to the person. The location where you are belongs to the person, because it concerns you, it's your personalized medicine record. But here there's data from space, there is somebody gathering the data, somebody getting the data, using the data. Who's the owner of the data?
Well, it's some of the data is owned by the European Union, like it's owned by us, because it's paid, the satellite systems are paid with taxpayers' money, so it's from you and from me and from all of us. And there are also private companies who own their own satellites. So they deliver data and data products for third parties, which you can buy.
Okay.
So it's a public market, but also a private market. And depending on the actual need, then, well, first you can turn to the publicly available data sets or services or half products. And in case specific questions or explicit data needs, then you convert to other data suppliers or product suppliers.
Okay, and the legislation about that is clear? Sufficient?
If legislation would be clear, then you would have no lawyer, so no is the answer. Yes, Europe has an open data policy, so the data is available for free. Some data is available for free. Of course, data which is used by government bodies like customs, these data sets are not free of use. Yes, and reflecting to the GDPR issues, for example, yes, this might be issues for products and services which have been developed. Okay. But all data providers, service providers have their own privacy statement. So yes, it's clear, but yeah.
I understand. Looking at the session that we just had about space wisdom for smart cities, what stood out in your opinion? What was very interesting?
The uniformity of the opinion that we need to collaborate. And because the space data value chain, space services value chain is spread out all over, it's not a national thing, it's an international thing. It has many chains in this aspects of this chain. So we need to collaborate. What stood out is that we absolutely have to know the actual needs, and then we can build services on it. Okay. And that's where the awareness creation and all the dissemination comes in. And that's where a lot of work is to be done. And that's where we as Ground Station.Space hope to be a Hope to be very active.
Yeah. Because looking at your call to action, I think it kind of like hits what you just said. But could you say to the viewers in one sentence what's important and what you would like for DotSpace to achieve?
I asked the same question to my panelists, do it in 2 words, so that was hard. One sentence is even harder, I guess.
No, can be 2.
So, no, what I should want to claim is be open for services and knowledge other companies have to offer, not only focusing on the space domain, but also about the non-space domain, because there might be relevant questions which can be addressed by space data services, and do consider space as a relevant option to be involved in your service provision and demands which you have.
Very clear. Well, thank you very much, Martijn Seiger, for being here for explaining. Thank you. That was Martijn Seiger, a board member from DotSpace, talking about space wisdom for smart cities, about using the data that we gather from the satellites in space. We'll talk a little bit more about this issue with Francesca de Monaco from Viasat Netherlands. Francesca, welcome. Great to have you here.
Thank you very much. Thanks a lot.
Thank you for making time. Could you first of all, explain to our viewers Viasat, what does it do exactly?
Of course. Thank you very much for the question. So Viasat is a global satellite communication company that believes that everyone shall be connected everywhere. So we provide satellite internet, and we are now launching a new satellite, a new constellation of satellites, Viasat 3, that will make possible to have connectivity at the global level.
Yes, because it makes the world actually accessible to everybody. Is that an issue at your company to make it inclusive for everybody on Earth? Or?
You use a very nice word, so the inclusion, and absolutely this is in our mission, so to make possible to have a connectivity for everyone. So for us, in many places, we think that the internet and the connectivity is something granted. So it is not. So we have, first of all, many areas in the world where it's underserved or completely unserved, and we want really to bridge that gap. So to make possible that everyone can get the connectivity and really to overcome the digital divide.
It's clear. Well, thank you very much. Then looking at the smart cities and at the data, you gather a lot of data. Do you have enough, connections to use them in a good way? Do you work together with companies who have good use for it? Could you give some examples maybe?
Absolutely. So the smart city is a really interesting example, and we believe in a smart society, so where it's really important to try to have as much as possible connectivity, and definitely the integration is really, really important. So in the satellite sector, definitely being able to integrate navigation data, Earth observation data, and being able to effectively using this data thanks to the satellite communication, we believe is the key for the improvement and for reaching a smart society.
Okay, and if you look at your own company, but also at the session that we just had, what are the hurdles to be taken? What are the challenges?
Yeah, I believe that there are many challenges. There are also many technological challenges. So I think the takeaway from this session is really to try to understand the customer needs and to try to connect the technology possibilities for many companies like Viasat, that we have many innovative technologies, with the final customer need, specifically for the smart cities needs.
Okay, I think that's very clear. Do you have one last call to action for the viewers? Or wisdom that you would like to share with them?
I think really the nice part is to try to connect as much as possible the citizen, but also the startup and any other small company with the innovative solution, and really in order to make our society smart and to improve the well-being of the citizens.
It sounds very hopeful. That's a great sentence, I think, to conclude. Thank you very much, Francesca.
Thanks a lot. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. That was Francesca de Monaco from Viasat about the satellites and about how we could also use them to connect everybody and to get this inclusion that we all would like so much. In the meantime, here at my table is Ron Valk from CGI. Hi, Ron.
Hello, good afternoon.
Welcome, good to have you here. CGI, where does it stand for?
Okay, we are one of the largest IT business consultancy firms, approximately 78,000 people. And my team is working on the Earth observation domain. So we mainly we produce all kinds of data services based on Earth observation satellites. And related to this smart cities topic, we provide all kinds of services like light pollution or measuring the greenhouse levels of cities, that kind of information. That's what we do with all the space data.
And who are your contacts? Who do you do that for? Are there like governments who would like that information, or are there private companies?
It's a combination. It's a mixture. Mm-hmm. We have a strong focus on local governments, agencies, but also insurance companies. And also defense organizations is one big line for us.
Okay, insurance companies. Could you explain a little bit what do they want with our data?
Yes, deformation. There are multiple use cases for that. Mm-hmm. One use case, for example, is deformation of buildings. If you insure a building, you can measure from space the deformation of specific buildings, and then prevent the actual damage. So it's more a prevention of damage.
Okay.
So that's what we do. So from that perspective, but that can also, of course, that measurements can also be applied on roads and all that kind of stuff. So for smart cities, that's I think important.
Because you're acting globally, are there specific areas that you're more intensely watching, or is it really?
No, it's really globally. But that's the good thing about the Netherlands, that you can create your models from using space data and then validate it in real life, because the Netherlands is that small that you can drive to the actual location and measure and more or less validate the things you're doing. So that's also a nice link to the remote sensors, I think, that are in smart cities, all the IoT devices. And you can link them and use them as a validation source, and then use space data to combine it and to make it in a more broader, apply it on a broader way, and also combine different sensor types or different measurements, compare them in larger regions.
Because how far are we with these sensors? We just heard about the satellites, and that there's also still a lot of tech to be developed, to be maybe invented even. Yeah. But how is it with sensors and with software and things?
I think we can do a lot, to be honest. But yes, there will be. I think the biggest improvements in the coming years will be that there will be more detailed data available. So more better quality measurements. But I think at this moment, the combination of local sensors, so actual at one point or several points in a city, and combine it with space data, I think that's the biggest advantage of the current moment where we are.
Because it's about collecting data, but it's also about using data in a sensible way, in a smart way, I think. So there comes in a lot of AI also, artificial intelligence.
Correct, and that's done with my team. So we try to provide only the data, so only the results, to be honest. So because space sounds a little bit, difficult, new, whatever, adventurous, but we try to make it simple.
Okay.
Just provide us with your questions or your information needs, and we try to solve it with the different data sources, which are delivered via the open, so the satellites Martijn was referring to, so the satellites paid by us as customers or as people, but also we're also using commercial data to come to a useful product. And it depends on the actual business case, if we need to procure data or not.
Okay, clear. Well, looking at the session we just had, I asked all the speakers here, what was the highlight? Was there a takeaway, or do you have a call to action for the viewers?
I think we should really collaborate, and also please give it a try. Just do it and go. It's not that complex. The information itself, there are a lot of companies which can provide services and use space data towards useful and meaningful solutions.
Because is there a lot of companies who are, walking in each other's way, or who are doing the same thing, who are actually making it harder for each other, or is that?
Sometimes yes, of course. We also have our competitors, but there's also a lot of collaboration within the space domain. A lot of
emphasis is on the collaboration.
Yes,
that's good.
Absolutely.
Okay, well, thank you very much for this conversation, and good luck in the future. Thank you very much, Ron Valk. That was Ron Valk from CGI talking about space wisdom for smart cities. And we'll also talk about that with Coco Antonissen. Coco Antonissen is from the Netherlands Space Office. Welcome, Coco. Thank you very much for being here. Netherlands Space Office. What can you explain a little bit what that does?
Yes, so the Netherlands Space Office is the space agency of the Netherlands, so we're a governmental organization. And we're also a member of the European Space Agency, ESA, and we represent the Netherlands in ESA, but also at the European Union, for example.
And now we're talking about all this data and this data in space. And if I hear the Netherlands Space Office, I see a space rocket going to the moon or back. But not my first association is not collecting data for space wisdom for smart cities, but it is actually that.
No, yeah, I understand it. So, like on the one hand, NSO is like similar to ESA, the European Space Agency, or even NASA, as we are the national space agency, but we're not developing rockets or even satellites ourselves. That's really what we leave to, ESA or companies or businesses. But one of our goals is, and that's also the part that I'm active in, is to stimulate the use of satellite data within the Dutch government. Because, many people working in the government are not aware of all the data that there is available through Europe, but also in our national satellite data portal, where we provide very high resolution data from the Netherlands for users within the Netherlands. And not everyone is aware of that, of all those possibilities. So that's what we're also, trying to bridge the gap basically between that's what is there, all the data that is already there and the information that is there, and the end users.
Yeah, so educate them on the possibilities of what they could actually do with their data.
Exactly, because people are not aware of it. Space sounds indeed like rockets, space exploration, going to the moon, but it's much more than that. And actually those Earth observation satellites, but also navigation and communications, there are lots of possibilities, and
because when you think of using that data for a government, and I would think it would be used for the army first, or are they like in the front of it?
I don't know if they're in the front of it, but yes, definitely they use it. But also lots of other organizations. So, for example, there's this. You can map vegetation with it, which is important for
farmers.
For farmers, but also for governmental organizations who want to, how do I say this in English, but
want to develop the country and look what needs to be done there.
Yeah, and also provide subsidies to farmers, for example. Okay. They need to know how the land is used, and those things can also very good be measured with space data.
Now you educate the government. Like I said, I think that maybe the army knows where to find the data and what to do with the data, but the government find it hard. I'm Dutch, so I think that the Netherlands is really in front of everything. But are they? Do you have any idea? If you look at other countries, is the Dutch?
Well, I think the sector in the Netherlands that develops these services is quite strong in the Netherlands, definitely. Yeah, and I think also what was mentioned earlier is that the Netherlands can actually be used it's a great location to validate your data because it's so dense. We have actually the Netherlands is mapped very well because also we have aerial photography which provides super high resolution data, and thereby you can. Yeah, in Dutch we would call it speeltuin. I don't know in English, maybe a playground indeed, where you can test all your services and then and also export it to other countries.
Yeah, so we could be the example and the validation country, and then export it as a product maybe to
to other countries where they have mapped their land less detailed than we have in the Netherlands.
Okay, if you're looking at the session, what stood out for you in the discussion that was held there?
I think I saw some great examples again of what different companies have to offer in Earth observation, but also from a communication point of view, for example. But what I also experience in my work and is that not always all these great possibilities are known by end users. So I think that's indeed what was mentioned already: collaboration. And also, I think it would be great if also people working for cities and to really invest some time to look around what's possible with space data, because it's much more than you can imagine, actually.
There's a lot of potential that's not always recognized.
Exactly, yes.
So I think that your call to action would then be open your eyes and look around and see what's possible.
Yes, exactly.
And also for you, a task to indeed bring to the people the possibilities, to show them, to showcase them.
Yeah, that's what we're trying to do indeed.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Well, thank you very much for your conversation, and I hope that you will indeed open people's eyes.
I hope so too.
And they will look at it. Thank you very much for being here today. Coco.